enthusiast. Before I start, this isn't a comparison of what's better over the others. I just constructively think each one of them can serve very useful purposes that I'll talk a little about, and you'll be able to determine what suits the needs that you might want to meet. By the way, the hands I'll show are off Amazon, and they're also available on AliExpress. Let me also mention that all of them are posable. So this is Yoko, and if you're learning for the first time, we love naming our hands as clients. This hand is constructed of a firm rubber silicone, so she doesn't collect dust and can withstand some filing error. She's a full hand with some forearm as a base, where you can insert some sort of a mount that seems to be specific to this construction, but I never used it because I never had it. Yoko was very inexpensive. She costed around $18, not just for one, but a pair, guys. What I liked about Yoko when I first got her was her long, slender fingers, because they're so dainty. And even though she's a full hand with a forearm and base, believe it or not, she's very lightweight in comparison to the newer hands that are out now, because she's actually hollow. Though I myself am not a beginner, she can be good for getting accustomed to holding and handling live clients' hands, especially someone who tends to get stiff or be stiff. And she was good to use for polishing practice. In fact, I've even done acrylic with Yoko. But most of all, I like that she didn't use the same nails as I needed. So that way, I wouldn't run out of the same sizes real fast. She took the smaller ones and I go through the whole set of nails equally. But she has served her purpose and is now retired, because her size does take up desk space and she doesn't have inserts for nails, which was something that became a necessity for me. With her slender fingers too, her nail beds are on the smaller side. But this does help get accustomed to smaller structured nails. But I was pretty much ready for a more realistic model. So I got Miko, which was my very first realistic practice hand. I was even more excited that she was affordable by comparison to the private company brands. At that time, her price was $69 and there was a sale at, I think it was $59, and I jumped all over it and got a pair. Because there are a number of companies, without naming any of them, that sell them for well over $100 just for the one hand. And even though there are many reviews of their good quality, realistically, all of these hands are prone to the same damage that can happen in one small mishap. And no disrespect intended, but I just didn't see myself spending that much when I could find something more affordable that offers the same function. Plus, it saved me coins to get other things like polishes. I wanted to explore polygels more, and I also wanted to try some of the newer acrylic lines. So Miko is a full hand to the wrist, and there's no slot for a mount, so she can be used with a clamp mount, or she can be propped and her silicone won't slide, or you could literally stand her at her base, even though it kind of narrows at the base. I chose her from a selection of 6 skin tones, and I was saying how Yoko is lightweight because she's hollow. Miko has some volume, so you can feel some weight, though she's not extremely heavy. This really helps with getting used to the weight of a client's hand. She weighs about a little less than 1.5 pounds. Her realistic detail is so remarkable, from the inside of her palm to the crinkles between her fingers and fold lines at each bendable point. Then to the outside of her hand where there are vein lines, knuckles, and wrinkles at each joint. And more importantly with this hand, there are insert slots for the nails. These realistic hands are so amusing, aren't they? Though she has the volume, Miko is more of a squishy, jelly soft silicone. See her fingers look bouncy? Miko also has lovely feminine fingers. I actually like her appearance the most out of all of them. So her nail slots go in as far as the lines for the first joint in the finger. That's a pretty good depth, I think. And she has more definition to the side walls of her nail beds, which makes her more realistic too. There's been two notable things though that has been common among anyone who has purchased this hand. The first is that it being of a softer, jellier like silicone, she can be a dust magnet and attract hair, lint, cotton, even when you're not filing. But she is easily cleaned by wiping down with a wet towel or rinsed under clear water. You just have to be mindful that the water can collect and need to be dried out if it gets into the insert, and that goes for any of the hands with inserted slots. As I started working with Miko, I found that the skin around the insert area was rather thin, which made filing difficult as the nails would fall out, guys, or even slide back and forth and not keep stable in place. Then I got wind that there was a more updated version with stronger nail inserts. Well, come to find out, there's actually 3. So the next 3 I'll show you are going to look very similar to each other, but I'll point out the differences because some won't necessarily be visible to you. The next hand I got is Kiko, and I'll lay her side by side with Miko so you can see the visible difference. One of the things I talked about before, especially to those who want to become a nail tech and plan to do live client services, is it's important for you to familiarize yourself with working on all different skin tones. So these next 3 hands, you'll also see that I got varied shades of tones for that exact reason. This can help you with what colors work best with different skins, and you'll be able to make suggestions that work best for your client. Oh, and the prices of these hands are pretty comparable. I'll leave links, but also still suggest that you shop around, because after all, this is sale season and you might even find better prices and deals. Now Kiko, as you can see, is a shorter mid-cut hand, which makes her even more easily held in a mount. Or again, she can be used standing on her base because it's wider. In fact, the next 3 hands don't have the opening for the mount underneath. Now, though this is less hand with shorter fingers, it still has some realistic weight to it, as it's a firmer silicone and her interior wiring feels a bit more sturdy. Kiko's fingers are shorter, but I do like her nail beds, which are wider. And areas around the cuticle and sidewalls have definitely been improved and more defined. In addition to this, her nail insert area goes further in to the second wrinkle line of the joint. Now this is important to me because I avoid applying glues to my practice hands. And in fact, if you're interested in seeing how I prep the hand for acrylic, I did a recent video showing this with nail sizing. I also hope you're enjoying this, and if it's been helpful, how about hitting the like button and also consider subscribing for more like this. Now, being of a firmer silicone, she can withstand a little filing error. She does collect dust when filing, but otherwise doesn't attract as much like Miko. So Kiko is the one you've been seeing in my acrylic videos, and I enjoy how the work has been with her. Here are a couple of the videos you can see just to get an idea. So yeah, those links are available to you, but also I want you to take a look at this, where I'm showing you the difference between the nail insert areas. See where the skin around the insert area is so pretty much paper thin that you could literally see the implement through what's supposed to be the skin. Now here's Kiko, and she's improved, so there's a big difference, isn't there? And then I'm going to show you how far the insert goes in. And next, this one I named Keiko. And Keiko's appearance along with the next hand are the same as Kiko. So we can pretty much assume they're casted from the same mold. There is a slight variation in skin tone. Kiko has more grayish, tannish undertones, while Keiko's undertones are more red. And by feel, I noticed that her silicone and wiring hardware is more firm. Again, I think that's a good thing because the firmer the silicone, the more tolerant it is to filing mistakes. Now, as I mentioned, I ultimately wanted to have several skin tones and also offer content with each of them. And I just got this one, which I named Aiko. Guys, I'm going to end up running out of names. And as you see, she does appear to be casted from the same mold. But I think this hand is possibly the most improved. Oh, and let me explain before I forget. There are up to 6 selections of skin colors, and what's available varies from seller to seller. Aiko's silicone and wiring hardware feels to be even more firm than the previous. I'm suspecting there won't be more need for improvement beyond this. I should also say that there's absolutely nothing wrong with the other two. In fact, it could be possible that you might find their prices to be less. I don't know. Which is why I suggested you to still shop and save that coinage. Because, you know what, I remember there was 1 or 2 of certain skin tones, and I can't remember which, but they were considerably less. And I'm willing to believe that it's possibly because they weren't popular shades. I've yet to use Aiko. By the way, I did sneak Keiko in. She was the one that I did the M&Ms on. When I got her, I was so hyped to see if there was a difference on camera. While all of these hands will be prone to capture some dust and particles, I do feel it would be more visible on Aiko, so she'll need more frequent cleaning. Then, the least used anymore, but I feel should never be forgotten, is the mechanical training hand. And you can find these anywhere. They're not expensive at all, ranging in price from like $17 to a little over $20, depending on if they come as a kit. If you choose to get this, and I suggest you do, which I'll explain, I've seen them come just with the essentials to the hand or as a kit like this one that includes some nail tools or implements, but more importantly, with the extra replacement nails. Now, the reasons I believe getting this is beneficial is because it has the built-on table mount with the very long gooseneck adjustment, which makes it possible for you to maneuver it in as many positions as you need. I also noticed the design of the mechanical hand, which I didn't name because, well, I just forgot, and she's since been passed on to my brother, and we just refer to her as the assistant. So the construction of her hand to me is more conducive to the range of motion of a real hand, with limited individual finger motion from like side to side and in the bends at each knuckle. So don't be asphyxiated on its mechanical appearance, because if you see when I do this, it looks almost exact to how my fingers go. So it helps in that aspect. And the other important reason is, of all the hands, though I haven't set it up with the fingertips and nails because, well, honestly, I forgot where I put them, but this is one you can practice away at filing, especially e-filing, which is the most critical practice you'll need next to product application, especially if you look to working in a nail shop or a salon. In addition to having more lifelike range of motion, it's good for getting comfortable with filing pressure and speed without having to worry about conforming to the limitations of staying within like the boundaries of cuticles and sidewalls until there's some filing confidence that's built. I would highly suggest this for a first-time beginner until ready to progress to a silicone hand, because those can be easily damaged while trying to learn. I hope this helped, and if you have any questions about any of the hands I showed today, leave them in the comments, as I do enjoy responding. If you enjoyed this, I have much more to come and always look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Much love.